Have you ever wondered what makes bodies tick? Are you creating the sexual reality you desire and require? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? What if your fantasies are not as strange as you thought they were? What if you could learn to be kinder to your body and kinder to others' bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Have you lost your mojo and wondered where to find it? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, Body Whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight we have a very different sort of topic. One of the things that I haven't spoken to in a while is sexually transmitted disease. Tonight, I'm actually going to speak on something similar, kind of in a comparison between sexually transmitted diseases and sexually transmitted ease. And I'm really curious how many people actually allow themselves to contract ease during copulation or play. Or do you go to total judgment of you and the person that you're with? And I'd really like to start to look at how we can actually change our bodies and our health and what we're creating in our bodies, and to actually start to change that from dis-ease to more ease. I know that, for most people, there is an awful lot of judgment around sexually transmitted diseases, and it is a very prominent thing right now going on in bodies. Something I really would like to explore, especially on the Pleasure Zone, where I'm encouraging people to enjoy bodies in their body. I'm also really encouraging you to have a lot of awareness. Being aware energetically and also being aware, actually knowing what some of the stuff out there that does exist. We've heard of a lot of things, but I don't know if you guys actually are aware of how many STDs are out there. So I'd actually like to speak to that today as well. And what is it about this show that just keeps me coming back, right? After I think it's been almost 100 shows. I'm not sure. I'm pretty close to it. I think we'll be celebrating 100 shows pretty soon. I really, sometimes every week, I talk to the show and the show speaks to me, and it always blows my mind that the show keeps choosing me and I keep choosing it, and we have this relationship. And part of this relationship for me is really, I desire getting information out to you guys. I desire to get you also to a place where you can see things differently. I love knowing that there are possibilities on the planet. I love knowing that we don't have to be in these very plain, square boxes that are taped up with, some kind of duct tape, and I'd like to get you to get that even if you are creating your life as a box, what if it can be far prettier, and what if you can jump in and out of that box when it works for you, and what is actually beyond those boxes, and what if those boxes are not so wrong or not so right, they're just there and they're just a choice. So if you're choosing to have a box where you are deeming yourself heterosexual or homosexual, it's just a box. And if you choose to jump out of it for a little while and test something else out, cool. That's where your possibilities start to come. That's where the magic in your life starts to come, is when you actually get out of the box that's really comfortable for you. So we'll talk a little bit more about that today. And being uncomfortable doesn't mean you have to be putting yourself or your body into a position, or say playing with a body that's really uncomfortable, that you may actually have an awareness about, where uncomfort is not about the change that's showing up that you've been asking for, but more where uncomfort is actually an awareness of something that doesn't work for you. So there's so many nuances to this awareness. Doesn't it just drive you mad sometimes? And how much fun can it be too? So really it's about exploration. So I have a very much a joy playing with bodies, and one of my greatest joys is to actually bring bodies to this place where they have sort of an ecstatic way of being. So whether that's through body movement work that I do called the mitzvah technique, if people start to have more ease in their body with more movement, where their body starts to actually unlock itself from places that it's been locked up in, whether it's, having maybe like some kind of, say maybe like a locked up leg or a locked up neck, to anything to like more ecstatic movement where you could flow easily with dance or swimming or whatever it happens to be. So a lot of what I do is that I am a facilitator of ease through bodies and through the energy of bodies and through movement with bodies. So directly with the body and then also with the energy systems of the body. And the work that I really enjoy thoroughly, and I was reminded this weekend how much I actually thoroughly enjoy doing this work called the Symphony of Possibilities, which for me is such an amazing gift. It's created by Dane here, and really the SOP for everybody is different, but he really in his classes, in his SOP classes, invites you to really have more of you, more magic of you, and to really get where you are conducting the orchestra of all the molecules in the universe around you, and how you and other conductors of these molecules can create something completely different on this planet. He does have classes all over the world in this amazing, amazing work. And there are some prerequisites to that, and one of them is the bars. And I do facilitate that. So you can always start somewhere, and if that's starting with the bars with me, that's great. And also, if it's starting with the bars in general, you can look up on accessconsciousness.com. There are loads and loads of bars facilitators around the world, and followed by some other classes facilitated around the world also are called foundation classes. So there's a few prerequisites to get to this amazing SOP class. I just named 2 of the 4 or 5 that are now required. And I love it. If you love bodies and you love to watch bodies have joy, and release in ways that it's quite a phenomenal thing. If you really love to watch people expand their lives, I really encourage you to choose this. So I'm bringing this up because one of the things that can show up through these SOP sessions is like this energy of, and I won't say that it is orgasm or isn't orgasm, but it certainly has this energetic, orgasmic thing about it. So if you really love gifting bodies orgasms and you're really kind of like, am kind of wondering about all the STDs on the planet, how else can I gift bodies orgasms, or how else can I receive one without having to, be penetrated by a potentially STD-ridden penis, then I totally encourage you to check out this magical work. And if you'd like a session, I also do them via distance. So I love, love, love doing them. And please feel free to contact me and have a distance session, have one in person, have one. Just choose it. There are lots of other SOP practitioners around the world as well. So just look it up. We don't really have titles, but you can ask if you want to do it in person and you're somewhere in the world that I'm not. Just feel free to ask me and I'll see what I can introduce you to. So aside from that, it's like really how much of this STD stuff comes from us really bring more ease and more joy in our bodies. We find ourselves choosing bodies to copulate with because, truly we're looking for more ease. Maybe we've been sexually pent up for a while. Maybe we've had this stress in our body and we just, feel like a little bit of action is going to get it to unlock or to have more ease. So I really wonder how much of us, we're just pushing to try and have this, try and have orgasms, or to try and have partners, or to try and have more sex with more fun people or something. And in effect, what we're actually choosing is lack of ease. So dis-ease for me is not so much about just the body falling apart. To me, dis-ease is actually this lack of ease in your being, in your body, and where you start to buy all these limitations and points of views from others that actually will lock you and lock your body up to start creating weird stuff like STDs. So, if you're hanging around people who are like, if you do that with so-and-so, you're probably going to get a blah, blah, blah. And if you start buying their points of view, guess what you're going to create in your body? You are magic. And whether you acknowledge it or not, you are magic. So when you start buying the points of view of others, spoken and unspoken, you will start to actually create crap in your body. So please, if you start to get into like a weird mode in your head where you're kind of going, oh my God, and you're like freaking out, like, oh my God, do I have an STD? And you go on Google and you're like looking up every, symptom under the sun. And you're like, oh yeah, it fits this, it fits that, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. You know what you're going to create more of? Let's just check this. What you put your attention on grows. So if you're putting your attention on all the symptoms, what are you aware of? What is it going to grow? So I would like you to start to ask your body instead, what is this energy? And sometimes your body might be, exhibiting something maybe different sensations than you've ever had before. And so instead of concluding, oh my God, I must have an STD, how about going to, body, what is this? And is this actually the change I've been asking for? So that place of discomfort, sometimes it shows up in our body, sometimes in our being, where we just want to throttle people or choke them or just be like, I want off this planet. When we get to that super place of uncomfort, please remember to ask, is this the change I've been asking for? And so many times, and if you get this lightness in your universe, as much as it might annoy the crap out of you, if you get that lightness in your universe, just please acknowledge that you are actually creating something that you've been asking for. You can also ask for it to come with more gentleness and more ease for sure. So please do that too. So, body, can we have this as a whisper instead of a hot rod in the anus, because that's kind of uncomfortable. I'd rather just have a little whisper, like a little tickle of a feather instead of that hot rod. That really is uncomfortable. And we can still have uncomfort, and it doesn't have to be so painful or so obvious. The more we choose to be aware, the more we can just have like this little whisper show up, where then we can ask questions, we can change things. And sometimes it's not about changing anything. It's about being with the energy that you've actually just created. So, if you have created this discomfort and it's the change you've been asking for, instead of trying to annihilate it, why not be with it? Why not amplify it? What if you could amplify it? Just like in the middle of an orgasm, if you start to ask to amplify it and have more of it and more of it and more of it, you can actually expand it, grow it, and have more of it. And then it'll actually dissipate, and it'll go to like everything and anything in the entire universe. So just like if you make something really, really intensified, then you can actually let it go. Because sometimes we kind of sit in this in-between phase where things are kind of like lull and they're just like bleh, kind of like a flat line. So if you can actually ask to intensify the energy, it can shift in some direction where then you can actually have something different. So, and again, it's not always required, so please just be with it and see, is now the time to ramp it up? Is now the time to ask it to be a whisper? Is now the time to receive more of it? Like, what is required right now? So with your bodies, please ask all of that. Because you know what? We are way too freaking brilliant in so many ways. Bodies are so brilliant that they can change everything and anything. And so it's just really a matter of asking. So I had a very interesting thought today as I was looking at STDs and kind of playing with my awareness on what is an STE. So STE, sexually transmitted E's. What would that be like? What would that look like? Which brought me to the idea that I hear from Gary Douglas a lot, that when you're asking the questions before you go to copulate, there's some questions to ask. And one of them happens to be, will I get an STD? Which in Gary Douglas's mind also includes children. Now, I'd like to ask you, are you a child of somebody? Right. So in that case, are you actually an STD? And how much of your life are you walking around with the energy of, oh my God, I'm an STD, I am dis-ease, I actually am lack of ease? And how much judgment does that put into our world all the time? And if you have children, how much judgment of them are you putting into their world? And so I'd like you to actually play with that. What if you're actually not an STD? What if you are an STE? And what would that actually create in your world? So I'd like you to explore that as we go to break on the Pleasure Zone. And when we come back, I'm going to chat a little bit more about that. So off we go to our break now.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic. And, today we're talking about the joy of an STE. How is joy an STE? So there's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of going through before we can actually get to the joy of it. Isn't it funny how so many layers of crap that we put on top of joy because, we've got to hide that joy. It's not something that can be so gosh darn obvious. It's something that we've absolutely got to mask, hide, put away somewhere, put it in a cave, make sure nobody can find it. It's like gold, and it's definitely limited, so we've got to hide it like gold. And that is such crap. So I'd really like to explore this a little bit more with you guys, where when we went to break, I know that and Gary Douglas is the founder of Access Consciousness, and he's not the only one who kind of jokes about children being an STD. And I get that to some people it's funny, but I also get that the more you buy that point of view and the more you perpetuate that point of view is the more that we're actually creating it that way. So we're actually creating children that are complex, complicated, that are going to be in our way, that are going to create lack of ease for us. And you know what? I'm no longer choosing that. It's bullshit for me. So if it's bullshit for you, please choose to change it. And also, I am a child to somebody, and I don't really have a desire to be a burden to them or create lack of ease in their lives either. So what if I could be an STE? Like, what if I can actually be a sexually transmitted ease deliverer where I can actually contribute to more ease in everybody and everything's life? And one of the things that I really got about this was that there was something about that, saying that every time I would hear it, I would kind of like go funny, but not so funny. So just like you guys, like if you get stuff like that, just please ask a lot more questions, because most of the time, we're laughing and we kind of put it to the side and we don't get that that we're actually buying that point of view as true and real somehow, somewhere, whether it's unconscious or consciously. So please look at that for you, and just ask as many questions as you like, and if you really have the point of view that your children are not ease, what if you changed it? Just what if it is possible that you could have way more ease with your kids and with yourself? Because you are a kid. Essentially, you're a kid to somebody. So whether you knew your parents or didn't know your parents, you are a kid to somebody. So one of the things I also wanted to look at is what is actually an STD. So, according to like the Wikipedia descriptions, did you know that there are actually more than 30 different STDs? They're also called STIs, sexually transmitted infections, or venereal diseases. There are a number of them. They're actually bacterial. There are a number of them that are viral. So the bacterial ones generally can be dealt with antibiotics. And the STIs, like genital herpes, HIV, and genital warts, in medical, from the medical profession, they say that cannot actually be completely dealt with. They can kind of put them to sleep. Genital warts are included in that. And then there's also parasitic STIs, like trichomonias, which is actually super, super common among women, especially among women. And so we can spread these through non-sexual contact as well, through blood and tissues, or if you're nursing as a mom, you can spread it to your child, or through childbirthing as well. So a lot of tests are done prior to birth just for that, mainly for that, so you're not spreading STDs, STIs, VD around. So, one of the greatest ways to contract that is to not have sex. Well, so people's bodies would still like to have the orgasmic response. And that's why I brought up the SOP earlier, because it does kind of create that freedom of being, which is that being and that sensation of being super alive, which I associate with orgasmic energy. So there are also other ways that people do that. And one of them is like tantric massage. And there are a lot of different variations of tantric massage out there, and tantric healing. And so look them up, see what works for you. There are a lot of variations of that, and some of them are more like direct copulation related, and some of them are fully energetic. So see what works for you in your body, so that you don't actually have to like walk away from ever having, orgasms with other people, because that could just be a lot more fun too. So I don't know if you guys actually knew that there were 30 different STDs. I mean, a lot of them are talked about, like chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, AIDS, and warts. And but there are some that are not really so. I mean, hepatitis B also is starting to be talked about more and more and more. But there are also a lot of other ones. There are a lot of different parasitic ones that are out there. And human papillomavirus as well. So I'm not trying to scare you guys. I really would like to educate you so that you can be aware that there are far more out there than maybe you're not aware of, right? So I'd like you to just maybe educate yourself is really key, like really getting education, knowing what can be treated, what can't be treated medically, and also know that you are an energetic being. And what else is possible? What about having awareness, for one? What about actually asking the body that you would like to copulate with, and really don't go to conclusion, this person is sexy. Look at their body. They're so ripped. I just want to jump them and do them. Please don't go to conclusion because their body is attractive to you. Or that they're horny, or that, they're stimulated, the guy's erect, you're wet. It doesn't mean that you have to jump a person. It's not a requirement. So please ask some questions. And I know that, a lot of you who've been listening to this show are already aware of that. And I know that there are a lot of you who might be new to this show and you're like, what does she mean? Ask a question. You guys are truly, truly aware. And the more you ask the questions and the more you follow the energy, the more aware you are of what will and what will not work for your body. So one of the questions is, will this be ease? And if you don't get past that question, you're done. So cool. Will this be ease? Cool. If you get a lightness on that, ask the next question. Will this be fun? Cool. If you actually get a yes to that, move on to the next question. Now, Dane asked, will you learn something? But in my point of view, you learn something every day. So I like to ask, will this contribute to my life of living and my money inflows and my body? And those are all 4 in one, because they actually all 4 work together. So if this does not contribute to my life, my living, and my money inflows in my body, no. And so the next one I also ask is, will the other person be grateful? Because there's something so precious to me. It's like golden when somebody is actually grateful for you, for your body, and what you're co-creating. It's not about loving you or falling in love with you, but when they're grateful for your contribution, that can actually contribute so much more ease to your body and your being and your life, that if you actually choose it, can expand so much of your life. So that's 4. Now, again, if somewhere along the way you get a no, just, okay, cool, walk away. Because this is like, you got to get all of these. This is not an 80 out of 100 test. This is 100 out of 100 test. It's not necessarily a test, but if you're going to pass something, you're going to get yeses on it. You want yeses on all of it. So the other one is to ask, will you be happy after? Will you be happier after? Because if you're not going to be happier after and you're walking away and you're like, well, they're grateful, that's nice, but I feel like a pile of shit, is anything following or prior to that actually a contribution to you? So some of this will actually get you really, really more aware of what's going to work for your body and not. And that very last question of will your body contract an STD or gift an STD, because sometimes you might not be aware that you're carrying one, because these things can actually be dormant in your body for months and months and years and years. Something like herpes can actually be dormant in your body from birth all the way through. So you can have it genetically in your DNA. And so for those of you who are not aware of that, and you'd like to look up information, in homeopathy, it's something called a miasm, and it's actually something that you carry on genetically from, say your parents had herpes, you will actually have a marker on your DNA that indicates herpes. So that's a conversation for a whole other day, because multiple variations of different STDs have combined over the years, like herpes and syphilis. Miasms have actually gone on to create many other things. So that's, again, a whole other conversation. And I do encourage you to get awareness on all of this, just so that your body will be aware of the energy of it. It's not about creating it in your body. It's about your body will go, oh, that's the energy of syphilis. I'm not going to choose that. But the thing is, if you're not aware of it, you cannot actually not choose it. You're just going to walk right into it. So part of it is like education, know what's going on, know the energy of what these things are, so that you can be aware of when you ask your body, is this an STD? And if it's such a foreign concept to you and you're not really aware of them, it'll just be like, instead of like truly getting the energy of what that is. So I am like very interested in allowing you guys to have far more ease in your bodies and in your choosing what works for you. And it's not, so STDs are also something, it's not just something that you get through vaginal intercourse. And you guys know this, but it's like, I feel like I need to remind the world that, you can get it through kissing, you can get it through anal sex, you can get it through oral sex. It's not like one is less likely than the other. It's just that, different, viruses or bacteria will hang out in different areas more. You have different parasites in your feces usually than you do in your vagina. But if you're going and sticking parasites from your anus into your vagina, then it's something to be aware of, because your body is going to be like, well, what is this, right? So, if you are in the middle of copulating and your body's kind of going, just please stop. That's my tool. Stop, and then say, hey, wait a minute, and start to ask questions and become more present. I'm going to give you guys a lot more tools when we come back from break. And so let's go to break now on the Pleasure Zone, and we'll talk more when we come back.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and today we're talking about how is joy an STE? And in order to get to this sexually transmitted ease, I've been talking a lot about this sexually transmitted dis-ease or lack of ease. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but one of the first things that were ever kind of documented about STDs was found on a thing called the Ebers Papyrus, and that was in 1550 BC. And it's also indicated in the Old Testament as well. What often comes up with these writings is that there's a lot of shame attached to them. So in consciousness, shame is a distractor implant. So what I'm curious about is if we actually start to clear what we call the distractor implants of shame, blame, guilt, and if we start to clear those distractor implants, how much could we actually change the STDs on the planet? So right now, what are STDs contributing to us? Like, what is the gift in them? What's right about them? You know, what I get is that some of it is actually getting people to maybe choose something different. Maybe it's giving them information they didn't have before. Perhaps if people were choosing consciousness, when this would not even, if we were truly all being super, super aware and super conscious, would we even create them? I actually don't know that we would. Just like, would we create any dis-ease in the body if we were truly being conscious? Would we require cancer, or could we just choose to die? Would we require an STD, or could we just choose to be with a partner or not be with a partner? So many people use STDs as a way to get out of relationships, or to hide things, or, the shame of it. So they're hiding it, and they're hiding it from their partners, they're hiding it from themselves. And so what if we could just get all of that and bring all that energy up that we've been hiding, and just ask to start to become aware of it, become aware of the energy of it. And when we are ready to change it, and when we'd like to change it, we can just start to ask that really simply, like, all the STDs that you are creating in your body, or perpetrating in your body, or perpetrating and selling is real and true to others, will you now destroy and uncreate all that? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pot all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. I get that, we can create a lot of fear around these things too, like, oh my God, you better use this or you better use that. The thing is, if you are really, really concerned and worried about your partner having an STD, just wondering, you're choosing to have sex with them for what? So, if you're concerned that you have one, please go find out, If you don't trust your knowing and you trust doctors more than your knowing, then go ask a doctor. If you trust you more than you trust the doctors, please ask you and your body. It's truly your body that is bringing that in, not you. And sometimes it's actually in your etheric and metaetheric fields rather than in your physical field, in your physical body. It's rather than in your physical cells, it can actually be in your energetic bodies. So just ask which bodies is it in? Is it in your physical body or is it in your energetic body? Because you could be highly aware of these things. You could be highly aware of herpes because people around you are talking about it all the time. And so it could be in your energetic field. So, you might be like, herpes, So instead of like going down a rabbit hole and thinking that, you're all disease ridden, I would please ask some questions about that and ask your body what it requires. So does your body actually require this STD? Are you creating it for something? Have you created it to get out of a relationship? Have you created it to get out of this body? Have you created it to change something? Have you created it to create more awareness? What are you creating it for? What are you choosing it for? So please ask, please ask. So I would also, on that kind of like note, when it comes to asking the questions of your body, and asking your body if it is desiring to heal it, what would it like for that? So would your body like maybe energy work? Would it like medicine? Would it like both? Would it like, an injection? Would it like a spanking? Like, I don't really know. And please don't make it limited to like medicine or healing that's obvious. It could actually be something as simple as, hey body, what do you require? And you know what? You might find that putting a bunch of flowers beside your bed when you sleep just creates so much beauty in your room that when you look at it, your body starts to heal. I don't have the answer, but I can ask you a heck of a lot of questions. And even the fun thing is the weirdest things, usually the weirdest thing, like flowers beside your bed, will actually create more for you because it's truly so speaking so much to your body and what it's asking for rather than it's the doctor and it's this. And it might be that too, but it's about getting out of your head. It's about getting into your awareness and truly listening. So do you actually know what your body sounds like? And if you don't, there's a lot of shows that I've done on here, and there are a lot of shows on A to Zen that will address that. So please go to them. And if you just don't feel like looking them up, you can always contact me for a private session on that, how to actually have a communication with your body and tap into that. So you can contact me on my website at milicajelienic.com, MILICAJELENIC.com. And so another few things that, okay, so if we have this lack of ease, this dis-ease, they have a list, how to know that you have an STD, inflammation of the pelvis, there's this, there's itching, there's burning, there's lumps, there's bumps, there's, discharge, there's this, there's that. So, okay, if you have any of that stuff and you've already gone and diagnosed yourself with an STD, decided it, concluded it, well, you destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pot all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, we read information like, 500 million people are infected with syphilis and gonorrhea in the United States, or 530 million people have genital herpes, and 290 million women have human papillomavirus. We read this stuff, and then we're like, oh my God, is it me? So for all of you who always make everything about you because, the world revolves around you and all your creations, and, you're definitely the most judgeable offense on the planet, and so is your body, and if you don't get sarcasm, please know that was sarcastic. Please know that this doesn't have to mean you, right? So doesn't mean that because there's that many people on the planet with herpes or that many people with human papillomavirus, does not mean that that is you. So please ask questions, and ask, what would it take to have more ease with your body, with copulation, with choosing a more fun and orgasmic life. So I have created the 5 symptoms of sexually transmitted ease. These are mine. I'm copywriting them. So number 1 is, if after copulation or play, sexual play of any kind, whether you've been copulating vaginally or you have oral sex or anal sex or touch or whatever, number 1 is you have sexually transmitted ease if your body is energized and rejuvenated. Number 2, if your body turns on other bodies with ease. Number 3 is you are more present in and with your body and others' bodies. Number 4 is if you have a burning itch to contribute to the planet. That's the only burning itch I get that should show up if you're having sexually transmitted ease, is the burning itch to contribute to the planet. And number 5 is your life flows with more ease in general. So for those of you who, are like, what does she mean by that? So when you've actually copulated and your body is more energized and rejuvenated, you may feel very awake and alive for days and days and days and days and days. You might just feel like you don't even require sleep. You might feel like you want to go out and revamp your entire home. There's like this sense of inspiration and joy of being alive, and this desire to create. That is like a sexually transmitted ease. So when you're with a body that's truly contributing to your body, and kind of the culmination of that equals sort of like inspiration, joy, rejuvenation, the chances are your body will be creating change and ease in ways that you had no idea even was possible. So your body can actually create a lot of ease with it. There may be discomfort as it changes. So say you're copulating with somebody too, and then your body gets really, really uncomfortable. Maybe you're feeling funny in different areas. Maybe you feel weird in your crotch. Maybe you feel weird in your breast. Maybe something's different and you can't quite put your finger on it. Please ask, is this the change I've been asking for? Because if you are with a body that actually has a capacity to heal others' bodies, whether it's through copulation or just in general, it has a capacity to contribute to healing bodies. And if copulating with a body like that, your body may actually start to heal things that you've been asking to heal. So, if you've been asking your breast to grow and all of a sudden, you're copulating with somebody and you get like this swollen feeling in your breast, ask, is that the change I've been asking for? Instead of concluding, oh my God, I must be getting my period. Oh my God, I must have a lump. Oh my God, I must. All those conclusions that we have will actually stop the energy from creating what you were asking for. So if you're like, what is that? Is that the change I've been asking for? And if it isn't the change you've been asking for, you can always ask more questions like, who does this belong to? Is this mine? It might not be. So if it isn't yours, it may actually be the other person's that you've been with. That's the fun thing about STDs, my friends. They've been passed on to you. Kind of like when you're in the Army and you get passed over, your clothes, that's actually part of their gift. They kind of gift it to you and you have to give them back. So just like that, it's kind of like if somebody is lending you something. What if an STD is just that simple? Let's return it to sender with consciousness detached times a godzillion. So here's a great question in the chat room. Is awareness sometimes an STD? So is awareness an STD, or are you aware of an STD? Like an awareness of an STD, like from the stupids. So if we have, so if you get like this lack of comfort, like if you have a dirt in your body, and you're picking up this discomfort, and you're buying it as yours, and you're super freaking aware, then yeah, what if even that in itself is like an STD? So your body is like, oh, I've got like inflammation in my blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, it's actually not yours, but you are actually super aware of the stupids out there that are choosing to be unaware. So it's not that people are stupid. It's that they're choosing to be unaware is what we're talking about by the stupid. So just choose people who are choosing to be unaware. And guess what? I fall into that category at times too. So we can all be stupids at times. So how about with that? It's like when you are aware that something's showing up and you're really aware that it's not yours, will you please just return it sender with consciousness attached? Just keep on returning it to sender with consciousness attached times a godzillion. So we're actually going to head to break. And as we go into break, if you even find some part of your body that you have this like discomfort with and you may have judged it as an STD of any kind, did you even know like conjunctivitis and different eye diseases actually are part of a virus that's an STD? Crazy stuff, right? So everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it all, return to sender with consciousness attached during the entire break. Because guess what? You can listen to these ads and return to sender. So let's now go to break here on the Pleasure Zone.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hi, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight we've been talking about how is joy an STE. The funny thing is we had to go through a lot of other things to kind of get to the place where we could actually get that we are allowed to have joy. We're allowed. Did you guys know that? And so one of the questions that I had, and I kind of listed a few things, how you know that you have actually contracted the sexually transmitted ease. So your body is energized and rejuvenated. Your body turns other bodies on with ease. You are more present in your body and with other bodies. You have a burning itch to contribute to the planet, and your life flows with more ease. So how does your body turn on other bodies? You know, when your body is really feeling joy-filled, so let's say you were walking around with gonorrhea, syphilis, and crabs. Are you going to feel pretty joyful or pretty not? So personally, I would think if I was walking with gonorrhea, say chlamydia, herpes, and genital, lice or whatever, crabs, I'd probably be feeling pretty contracted and kind of crappy, and probably not really desiring to contribute to other bodies. I'd probably want to crawl in a hole. So, when your body is actually having sexually transmitted Is, you can contribute more Is to other bodies. And the cool thing is you don't have to copulate with them, right? So this is where I'm coming back to. You can actually have sexually transmitted Is without actually copulating. And no, it's revolutionary. What if you could stand in the presence of another being, completely have your body turned on, which then turns on their body. And when their body gets turned on, their awareness ramps up. And when their awareness ramps up, they can change and do anything that they truly desire. What contribution is you being truly turned on, walking around with sexually transmitted Is, whether it's through copulation or whether it's through just energetic play or just being? Like, how much could that contribute to the planet? So much more than you guys can even imagine, I'm telling you. And I'm telling you because, you guys aren't listening, so I have to tell you. And so I really, really encourage you guys to ask and ask and ask more questions. And before concluding that your body has anything, before jumping onto that Google site and trying to find out what's wrong with you, please start asking what's right about this. Please start asking your body if this is the change you truly desire. If you're kind of stuck in it and you'd like some contributions, if you'd like to have a session, if you'd like me to ask you some questions, if you'd like some distant stuff going on, I am available for that. You're more than welcome to contact me and we can set up an appointment. So you can contact me on my website at milicajelenic.com, MILICAJELENIC.com. And I really love working with people and their bodies and creating more ease for them. So if it's not a burden to me, so please contact me. It's funny because I get sometimes reports from people, well, you're really busy and I don't want to burden you guys. It's not a burden. It is such a joy to me to contribute to you. So please contact me for that, because the more I can be and do that for you, the more joy I have. It's kind of like, for me, it's like gifting blowjobs. It's like, it is just so gosh darn fun that if, just let me, because it just makes me happy. So, that was an interesting tangent, right? I know. So I've got like a minute and a half left, and I just would like you guys in this last minute and a half to kind of recap some tools for you. So instead of going and ask a question about your body, and any time something shows up, please ask, who does it belong to, before choosing that it's yours. And doing that, return to from whence it came, never to return again to your body or this reality. Just keep saying that, or return to sender with consciousness attached. Keep saying that. Sometimes you might want to say it 100 times. You might want to record it and listen to it all day long. You know what? It will ease up. And just like anything that's been gifted to you that you're not really desiring to have anymore, you might have chosen it in that 5 seconds to connect with somebody. That's a whole other story, choosing STDs to create a connection. Sometimes it's to get out of a relationship, but what if you're choosing to connect with people? Interesting choice. And if you're unchoosing that now, there's so many options. So please look at what you're creating it for, or choosing it for, and if you are ready to change it, start asking what is required to change it, because you know what? You know way much more than you think you know. Thank you so much for joining. I look forward to having you guys listening next week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.